Doctor Who Season 2, Episode 5, titled The Story and the Engine. Now, this episode I found to be the second weakest episode of the season, but it's still good. Here's the thing, Robot Revolution, which is the first episode of the season, is the worst episode of this season, right? And it's episode 1. That episode is in a black pit of a hole, and it's shouting into the void. Help! Help! I'm trapped in this black hole. And the other 4 episodes, Story in the Engine, Lux, Lucky Day, The Well, are all saying to each other, "Oh, you hear something? No, I haven't heard anything. No, I heard people with noise and then it's gone. Oh, must be for nothing. Must be nothing, right?" And that's what I'm saying here. Just because I think the Story in the Engine is the second weakest episode of the season, still means I like it. I like the episodes. I just prefer the other 3 episodes. I think the other 3 episodes are a little bit more better. But let me talk about the story. Because me talking about the story will dive into my thoughts of the episode as a whole. So the story is that the Doctor goes to Nigeria, Africa. And he goes to this barbershop, this Virginia barbershop, and he is immediately trapped. He is kept hostage along with the other clients, the other people inside said barbershop, and they are forced to feed stories. They are forced to sit in this barber chair and have the hair getting shaven because it will just immediately grow. It will just immediately grow longer. And they must help, but they need to feed this engine by telling stories. And what I really enjoy in this episode is the stories themselves and how they're being told. Like, it's getting told by this, like, big screen. And at the beginning, we see, like, a painting drawing. This beautiful painting drawing about the Doctor saving saving the owner when he was a child. So there's that. There's a story that the Doctor tells about Belinda, which is beautiful and wonderful and heart moving. And then there's another one that is absolutely beautiful, which is just at least beautifully told, which is about these women who would change their hairstyle and braid their hair because they were slaved, and it would be the only thing that the men wouldn't touch. They wouldn't touch their hair, and it became, in a way, not just a story, just a beautiful, just a story itself, but it became like it became its own, like a plot device. It became a plot thing, because while that's happening, while that story's getting told, that's getting, the Doctor's getting his hair braid, and it's a map. The hairstyle's a map. So he's like stopping and going, okay, we're here. Okay, we need to go to the left. And I'm like, that's very clever. That's absolutely clever. And the diving into the culture of Nigeria is beautifully, and the authenticity. Like, the word authenticity for me is hit and miss. Like, the concept of, hey, you want things to be as authentic as possible, but at the same time, I'm like, guys, it's fiction. Like, come on. But because I'm a big fan of, like, hey, just because you have, say, a gay character doesn't mean you need to get a gay actor. Actors play people that they are not. That's my mindset of things, right? So that's my thoughts of authenticity. But when it comes to culture and how diving it in, and the culture of a barbershop in Nigeria, the culture of a marketplace in Nigeria, it's just beautifully put together. Now, the stuff I would say didn't like, but the stuff I thought was fine, or the stuff that didn't hook me as much, was the stuff with the engine. I like the story part, but I wasn't that hooked with the engine. Like, I understand the concept of a villain, right? A villain who used to be human, but now he has the ability with the stories and able to, and he's meant to be the big embodiment of every, god of stories that is out there. Um, and he creates this big machine, this massive spider that's meant to, do what's happening in the Barbara, and I just felt our villain wasn't that strong of a villain. I get the concept of, okay, the gods have ejected him and he wants revenge on the gods and he's using stories as a way to do it. I get it, but I just felt like there could have been some more juice, a little bit more to our villain. And there's these little bits and pieces in the episode that you think, isn't there? Is it meant to, like, what was the point of the little girl? Like, what's the point of the little girl? Seriously, what is the point of the little girl? Belinda even questions it. And still, there's no answer to it. Is it meant to be a weird, creepy thing? Is it meant to be like, go this way? Is it meant to be that? And then there's also the question with, like, look, there's going to be a lot of people who saw Joe Martin playing the future doctor showing up in this episode and have a big thrill with it. Her showing up and her saying the dialogue that she's saying, because I assume what's actually happening is it's 15 saying the thing that we're hearing future doctor saying, right? So that's what's happening. But when I started to think, like, wait, so you're having this mystery of this, like, this adult woman knowing who the doctor is and how she's kind of pissed off with him, but she remembers it but turns out it's when 15 was fugitive. But the question is, how would 15 know that she bumped into this adult woman when she was a child? Like, how? When? How could it? Because there was no hint. There's not even a scene of picking up the forwards a bit. Here's all missing. Did that happen? Did that happen? Because of it, it made me ask questions about the history of because the previous show wanted to introduce the future doctor and did jack shit about her and did jack shit about it. It made me glare questions. How would 15 know? The whole concept of the future doctor is this is a doctor before the future doctor is a doctor before William Hartnell, who was the first doctor, way back in 1963. So it just makes me question. It made me question so much of it. But yeah, I think. But here's the thing: the big climax of the episode where we get, like, I had a feeling it was going to be something connected to the Doctor and how he's the endless stories and how there's all these, and they're going to have the big, like, multiple, the nostalgia trip, multiple Doctor thing. Like, I knew that was going to happen in this episode, and when it happened, it felt very good, and it felt fitting, and it felt a sense of upness with it. Ncuti Gatwa's performance in this is really well put together. Like, I think in previous episodes, it's a simple line of, you have no power. And in this episode, he just says it like that. You have no power. While in previous episodes, I feel like he would shout that. So it feels like in this episode he's kind of wheeled back, and maybe that's more direction wise, maybe that's more performance wise, maybe that's more written wise, where it's like, hey, this is how the writer kind of wanted his dialogue to be sound, um, or yeah, it just felt. And I like the 6 word poem or the story. You know, I'm born, I die, and I'm born, which is pretty much the story of the Doctor. You know, he, he's in his body, he regenerates into a new body, so he's born, then he lives, and then he dies, but then he regenerates into the next person. So it's all that. So anyway, yeah, this episode, I still had things I liked and all that, but the second weakest episode of the season for me. Anyway, comment below and let me know your thoughts.